What's up guys? In this video I'm going to be showcasing and openly discussing a new edge pairing method intended for 4x4 last 5 edges. So this would be after you do cross and centers and then the first 3 of your 3-2-3, and then from there you would traditionally do chain pairing. The inspiration for this video comes from just kind of the loose knowledge of the fact that there are some very speed efficient 3 cycles to pair edges that exist that I don't see utilized by top 4x4 solvers. So I've just got some examples here. So there's like this 3 cycle here. Normally you might see someone insert, slice, etc. But you can just do something like this simple 5-move trigger and you pair all 3 of your edges. Another example, we have this 3 cycle here, and again you could just insert, slice, etc. Or you could do a block commutator like that. So knowing that these sorts of tricks exist, I sort of took on the task over the past week or so of trying to devise a system that at the very least is an improvement on the current approach to chain pairing. I should quickly disclaim that all of these algorithms that I'll be showcasing throughout the video bit by bit are hand generated, so better algorithms may exist, but that'll be kind of up to the wider community to find these better algorithms should other people decide that my ideas have merit. So there you go. With that, I'm going to start breaking down the last 5 edge scenarios you can get and my current take on how to best go about it using these new findings. Starting off, we have 2E2E. So this is when you do your first 3 of 3-2-3 with, the 3-2-3 method, and you will typically end up with one unsolved edge in back right. This is of course using like the U, insert this to this order, not U prime slicing. Sometimes you'll have this back edge solved as well and then just 4 in the U layer, but this is most commonly what you will get. And to be honest, I didn't find anything that's like systematically better every time for this kind of scenario. I actually had a few ideas on what you could do, but I think what I've settled on is just kind of doing traditional chain pairing, which is a bit boring, but I will show some kind of cool stuff you could theoretically do. And I'll actually show on this cube first. So what I have here is things ready to go to do slice, insert, double slice, insert, and then slice back with 2gen because these 2 edges are not oriented. One algo I found in my hand is you can do slice up, that, and then that little insert at the end. And you could potentially set up to this. So we could see we have this and this, we're going to hedge this in, and that's going to misorient these 2 and put them opposite. So you could actually cancel into that algorithm. Some other stuff you can do, there's like this weird H-perm thing when you have 2 slice split slices, you can do that. Then there's like the Lucas Etta OLL, but only done with 2 R wide. That and the inverse solve some cases when they're all in the U layer, but again that's less common. Another thing you can do is, instead of setting the initial slice up into adjacent layers, you can do opposite layers and save a single slice move, and then even do fancy inserts like this. That last one to me seems a bit dubious. So for this specific case, I haven't really come up with anything that I would consider like definitively better than chain pairing, but at the very least there are some ideas to play around with. With that case out of the way, I'll now get on to some of the more meatier cases and show some good stuff. The next case I want to talk about is pure 4E. So this will happen when you do your initial 3, and just like the previous case, you get a solved edge as a result, either on top, which is most common, or sometimes it'll end up in the E layer. And what I've settled on for this is you basically try to do some sort of like 5 mover like that, or occasionally something else. Again, I haven't fully decided on like the best practice for this case, but I'm just going to show what I think is the easiest in terms of balancing like maximum efficiency and minimal recognition. So my idea for this case is, instead of just like inserting this and then proceeding, what you could do is, as you get to this portion of the solve, look at the 2 edges that are opposite in the U layer and see if you can make a pair out of those edges or not. In this case we can, because we have this going here. And I also have something for when they're opposite like this, like you would need to flip this to get like a 1 move pair. And my idea for this is straight up just doing this edge without any regard for the last one, because what will result is either a 3 cycle, which could be done quickly with some sort of algorithm, or a 2 swap of edges, which is also typically quite fast. So in this case, what we could do is we could just do slice, insert, undo, and then we get a 3 edge cycle. I should note that this algorithm is also possible in this case. However, I'm recommending this one because if this edge was over here, and I'll actually just do a T-turn to put it there, you'll see that this messes up one of our paired edges, which we do not want. So this is kind of one case. You'll have 2 here, and then you do that sort of insert. If they're on the other side like this, my recommendation is a similar algorithm like that, and then you get either 2E or 3E. And I'm recommending that specific alg for similar reasons, because if this edge is here, then like an alternate algorithm, I don't even know what the alternate would be, but essentially it would not work. In cases where you have the 2 opposite edges both oriented like this, what I think is a good balance between efficiency and speed of recognition is you just do a U2 block com. So it'd be like fat RD, fat R prime U2 undo, and then you get either 2E or 3E, like that. And this one's really easy because you just put them on the right side. It doesn't matter where this edge is, because in both cases it will preserve. And then the last case I want to talk about, if I can set it up correctly, is the scenario where you don't have a pair, like a 1 move pair or like an opposite pair in these 2 opposite edges. When this occurs, this means that both this and this edge could pair with whatever you have in the back right. And what I think would be like the best approach for this is you, again, use those first 2 algorithms I showed, so either this one or this one. And the way you recognize it is just look at this top edge and then look for the edge that goes with it among these 2. In this case we have this one, which means we would do this algorithm, and then we get 3E. But then if we imagine this edge flipped, that would mean we have to do this algorithm to get that, and then again either get 3E or 2E. This approach is definitely like open to debate as to like whether or not it's the best way to do a pure 4E, but I do think this is a pretty solid balance between easy recognition and good efficiency, because in the worst case you're doing a very fast 7 move block com, and in the vast majority of other cases you're doing a R wide R U-gen 6 mover. So that's it for 4E, and we'll now cover 5E, starting with 2E followed by 3E, because it's pretty easy. For 5E that follows a structure of 2E and then 3E, what I think is potentially the best approach. It does have slightly demanding recognition, but I think the efficiency payoff probably outweighs it. Again, hard to say. But when I say 2e followed by 3e, I mean as you're going to insert this edge here, you notice that there is a 2 swap, and since it's 5e, that means this has to be a isolated 3 cycle. And for this, I'm recommending 2 algorithms. So you don't even insert this, you just recognize that you have this scenario in advance, which I think is the hardest part. And with that, you either do, so for this case, where you would need to do hedge and then slice, flip, slice, you do R prime and then this L2E trick that you hopefully know. And then if it's ready to go with like RU prime, R prime, you do slice. And then it's essentially just the inverse, but it's a little bit nicer. One really good thing about these algorithms is that it will preserve all 3 of these remaining edges, meaning if you learn algorithms to solve 3 cycles in the U layer, you can very easily look ahead to it by switching between those 2 algorithms, which I believe are probably the fastest ways to solve those cases. So what this would look like in action is we have this case where we just start with a slice move, and we can again already look ahead to this case and actually see it's the best case, which is unintentional but good for propaganda purposes, and then we can just go straight into it without even needing to like recognize the case. So yeah, that's what I'm recommending for 2e plus 3e. For 3e plus 2e, this set is quite a bit simpler. Not that I think the previous one was complicated, but the crux of what I think is best for this set, and also pure 5e, which I will get to in a moment, is you just recognize the 3 cycle once you get here. So we have this to this to this one, and then you do a speed optimal solution based on that, and then you just deal with the 2e later. You could also do the 2e first using U-layer algorithms to get look-ahead benefits. I feel like that is a bit too disruptive of flow and not really in the spirit of 4x4 chain pairing. But yeah, that's more or less how I think you should best approach these cases. And before I like show all of the algorithms for like a 3 cycle with 1 edge here and then 2 in the U layer, I'm just gonna like quickly smash through these last few cases honestly so I can get to that. This one, bear in mind I don't know these algorithms very well, so just bear with me for a moment. I think for this one, yeah, you want to do, so this to this to this, I think it's like that, and then that, and then you get a 2 cycle of some kind afterwards. Yeah, that's basically the crux of what I think is an improved way to do that case, and with that I'll just finally quickly cover 5e. For pure 5e, this is functionally the exact same as 3e, 2e. You again just recognize the first cycle, so it'd be this to this to this. I'm actually going to set up a slightly different case because I want to showcase a bit more like variety with these. So let's say we have this to this to this, instead of doing like insert, slice, etc. We can just do an algorithm. In this case, the way you do it is with that simple block com, and then we get a 3e case. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my findings so far. To round out the video, I'm just going to show all of the algorithms I've hand-genned. Again, disclaimer, I'm not claiming that these are the best algorithms for each case. In fact, I'm quite sure a few of them are not optimal, but again, that's something that can be worked on later. So with that, we'll get into the algorithms. Alright, so to start off, I'll quickly touch on recognition. The way you recognize the cycles is you look at this top edge and then sort of just count the cycles. So you've got this to this, and then that one will be your next edge. The thing I pay attention to with the first part of the cycle is if I can insert this 2gen or not to do a successful first slice. In this case I can, because I can do RU prime R prime U. And then for the second part of the cycle, I want to see if both the edges are oriented or not. So in this case, these are both oriented, and this is a good insert. And to do all of these cases, you just do block coms from the back. So you find the third edge of your cycle, put it here, and then you do a block com like that. it'll work for this case as well, where we've got like this to here to there. You again put that third edge in the cycle in the back, do something like that. Works for this case as well, like this to this to this, put this in the back, and that's how you do it. The same logic applies for where you have like a hedge type insert for the first edge, but these two are still good. What I recommend is again just doing a Y rotation, and this time putting the kind of third edge in the cycle in the front, and then you do a block com from this angle. So that's how you cover those types of 3 cycles. Now for cases where the so just ignoring like whatever this first part of the cycle is, but the second part of the cycle, one edge is good and one edge is bad. These cases are a bit trickier, and to be frank, I'm not convinced I've hand-genned the best approach for these, but again, sort of in the spirit of chain pairing, I wanted to find something that was at least intuitive while still at least feeling like an improvement. So the way I'm sort of dealing with these cases at the moment is I'll look at this first edge, we can do this without rotating, so we're going to stay at this angle. And then our approach is going to change depending on whether the next edge is opposite to the second one in the cycle or if it's to the side. So in this case, it's opposite. And when you have good insert mismatch, the algorithm is this one from before. It's a simple 6 mover, or I guess maybe 5 mover, depending on how you count it. I'd call it a 6 mover. So you like put the edge here as if you're going to insert it, but you do this algorithm. If the edge is to the side, what I'm recommending is you insert that third edge into the first one, and then you will kind of have you'll have a 5 mover from that position. So in this case, when it's on the left, this is the good one, because when you insert this third edge, you can cancel into this 5 mover. So just to show that again, we've got this to this to this. And then if it's on the right side, I should also quickly mention, like, you're inserting this in such a way that you get a line on top, which is intended to be intuitive. So if we just quickly go back to this case, I'm using UR prime UR to insert this because doing that's great and all, but it doesn't give us a line on top, hence why we do that. Similar for this case where we have this to this to this, you would put this edge here now, and then you have to do a U2 in between, but it's the same sort of insert from before. Now let's go back one step and I'll flip this. So for the last kind of main subset of cases, we have kind of bad insert for the first cycle and then a mismatch when we follow the cycle through. And again, the approach will slightly change depending on whether the third edge in the cycle is opposite or adjacent. For these ones, I'm recommending to... Have I set this up right? I don't think I have. One moment. Okay, I think I need to flip these two. There we go, I'm just going in circles. Yeah, so now we should have the bad insert and the mismatch. So before I was just showing the same case from before accidentally. For these, since we have the bad insert, what I've settled on is just rotating. One thing I like about this is you can recognize whether to execute from this angle or this without tracing the cycle the whole way through. So you can just immediately see this and know that it's a hedge insert. So without even looking for your third edge, you just rotate here, and we'll either do what I'm about to show or block commutators from before. So for the first case where we have the edge opposite, we want to put this in the back, and we're going to do this sort of 6 mover. So it'll be like slice, so again, U2, put that in the back, slice down, U prime, RU, R prime, slice up. And if the edge is on the side, the concept is pretty much the same as before. I'll show the good case first. We insert the third edge in the cycle into the first, and then we get a 5 mover from that. So in this case, this is the good one because it cancels, like so. And then if it's back here, we would insert and then do a U2 and then do that same 5 mover. So that's all of the main 3 cycles that will kind of come in handy for the first and sometimes second cycle for like 4E and 5E type stuff. And to quickly close out the video, I'll actually just go through all of the cases where all 3 are in the U layer, because I'm mostly just curious if I've hand-gemmed like good stuff or not. Alright, so these are mostly something that will come up as the second cycle when you're doing last 5 edges. Starting off, I recognize these by looking at whether or not there is a pair, like a 1 move pair here or not, and then use the next edge. So in this case we have like a 1 move pair and then like a little edge thing here. This one, you just do that. I'm pretty sure that's optimal. And then if this edge were to be flipped, we would have this case. So for this one, I think, yeah, you're meant to do like a through rough variant. That's the best I could find at least. So when it's kind of like the big adjacent thing as opposed to like the little one from before, I feel like that's probably best. And then when you have like the 1 move pair of edges going the other way, it's just like mirrors of stuff. So that's those cases. For the next couple of cases, I'm going to talk about where you don't have the 1 move pair in these opposite edges, but you do have sort of this like mismatch pattern going on between these two. So the 2 cases are this one, and then this one where you have like the pair thing on the right side as opposed to the left. For these ones, it's actually pretty intuitive. What I found by hand was you can just insert one of these edges such that an edge that's part of this little duo here ends up in the top of the front right edge. And then you do, yeah, you do whatever move puts the other edge in the back, and then you do this 5 mover. So for this one, it'll be like RU, R prime U, and then that. And then for the other one, where the pair things on right, be RU prime, R prime U, and then that 5 mover. For these last 2, these are definitely the worst cases, and I'm not fully satisfied with what I was able to hand gen for these, but I'll just show these for completeness sake. I'll make sure I set them up correctly. This one's kind of funny, so we've got no 1 move pair here, and these sets of edges are kind of good. For this one, I was just like messing around with the cube, and I found that you can do, like, take this big pair out, do a U, put this center corner there, and insert solves the cycle. It's pretty quick, and it feels like OLL parity, but it's not. There we go. Yeah. I don't know, that one might be good. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something better. And then when you have the sort of line on the left side instead of the right, there are a couple things I found for this. A funny one, sort of in the same vein as before, is you can do... Is this even right? I think it's like a slice move setup, and then you do the same thing from before. Okay, I think I did it from the wrong angle. I think you do U2, and then you can do that. Nope. I've lost it. Whatever. Anyway, I think that elk sucks, so who cares? TBH. Alternatively, you could just do U2, do sledge, U, and then this 5 mover. I feel like that's a lot more practical, but again, I'm still not fully convinced it's best. So that covers all of the resulting 3 cycles that you can get after doing like this new approach to things. And with that, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.